Hi, coloring friends, and welcome to my colorful world. I have been seeing a lot of people working on Kirby Rosanna's pages in the past month, and it got me thinking about tackling hard pages. And to me, a Kirby page is a very hard page. I've never actually attempted one, although I would like to. So I thought, what would I tell myself if I wanted to sit down and work on a really hard page? Now, hard pages are going to look different for everybody. Everybody's at their own skill level. People have different comfort levels with different artists. The things that are hard to me might not be hard to you, but hopefully these tips will work across the board anytime you come across a page that is a little intimidating. Um, so I have, I believe, seven tips for how I tackle hard pages. Now, I'm going to be working on a page in Circle of Life. This is by Melpomeni Chatzipanagiotou, I think. Sorry if I mispronounced that. So I have a page chosen here. This is a beautiful book. I got it for Christmas, I believe, this past year, and I have not colored at all in it, mainly because it is a hard book to me. It's just a little intimidating, I think. So I have picked out this beautiful turtle page. I am most excited to color in it. I am ready to go. I've seen so many beautiful pictures done of this page, and I want to work on it. So now what? Well, I am, let me go ahead. I'm working, by the way, I'm going to be using my Starjoy pencil set for the most part. I may switch that up a little bit. Um, but here I am. I'm ready to go, ready to dive into my page. And automatically I'm thinking, whew, this is hard. There's a lot here. And I've seen, like I said, so many other people's pages that are so gorgeous. And oh my goodness. So number one tip is start by telling yourself that you will appreciate however your work turns out. Um, you need to relieve yourself of unreasonable expectations. Your work is not going to look like anybody else's work. And, while it's nice to have people to look up to and kind of learn from, um, it's okay to be at whatever level you are at and appreciate what you're doing. Um, it's kind of get rid of that negative self talk that, oh, mine's not going to look as good as anybody else's. Um, There's no such thing as ruining a coloring book. You're on your own growth path. You do the work as well as you can each time, and there's a high value to the learning process that comes with each page that you attempt. So start off by appreciating that. Appreciate where you are, what you're doing. Appreciate that you're diving in and, challenging yourself. That's huge. If you're diving in and going for it, you deserve credit right off the bat for doing that. All right. So then tip number two, and in light of tip number two, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in just a little bit here. All right. So tip number two is shrink it down. If the whole page is intimidating to you, looking at it as a whole, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do all of this. It's too much. How would I handle this? How would I handle that? And your mind starts running away with all of that. Um, Shrink it down and focus on just one element that you can handle. Maybe something you're really comfortable with. If you're really good at coloring flowers, or you've mastered water, or you just love coloring animals, whatever might be in the page that you feel like would be a good jump off point. So this page has flowers and fish and leaves and water and clouds and sky, and could do, if you're comfortable with backgrounds, you feel like you're really good at that, you could start with the background. Get that out first. Just something to get you going with it and dive into the page. All right, and then tip number three in contrast to tip number 2 is maybe you're better if you go by looking at the whole page first. So maybe instead of focusing on all the little details and, picking one thing to start with, um, maybe instead of that, you look at the whole page and envision what colors you see. Um, and then maybe you go and pull out some pencils that, correspond with that palette that you had in mind. Um, and, just kind of get an overall vision for what you want to do with the page. Sometimes it helps to kind of have a plan of attack. And if you got a color palette nailed down, or at least the start of a color palette, then you've got somewhere to dive in and get going with it. All right, and then tip number 4 is get yourself motivated. So, do you have a new medium or a favorite accent color or a favorite accent like stickles or metallic paints or something that's just really fun for you that you enjoy finishing off a page with? Um, so personally, I am pretty into metallic paints, and I like kind of adding little touches to the page here and there once I've done the coloring. That's something I really enjoy. So I might look at this page and say, oh, I'm going to do the sun in a metallic yellow, and I might make all the tiny fish metallic painted instead of colored. Um, it sometimes feels good to know how you're going to add your own special touches and make the page yours. And it's fun to think ahead and think, oh, I can't wait until this is all colored, and then I can add in my fun sparkles and use all those fun things that I've got sitting here too. Um, and just make this my own, add my own special touches to it. And then we are on, boy, I'm flying through these tips. We are on, and actually that makes me think too, uh, in thinking about the expectations, another thing to adjust with your expectations is how long it will take to do your page. When it's a page like this, you're not just going to sit down in an afternoon or maybe even in a week and get these done. They just take more time. And I mean, a lot of times you're going back and refining and adding another layer, and it's a work in process. And if you go in thinking I'm going to whip this page out in a day, and it can be a little disappointing, I think, when you've colored for a half hour and you have 4 leaves done. So that's another thing with the expectations is you have to realize it's going to take you a little bit of time, but the process should be fun, and you'll have something beautiful by the time you're done. All right, so back to number 5. Number 5 is look for inspiration. If you're stuck on where to start, what you want to do, no color palette's really coming to you, but you really want to color that page and you're still really excited about it, maybe you go hunt for some inspiration. So you can go searching on Instagram. You can search the coloring book or the artist and kind of scroll through and see if you can find the page that you are working on. You can go on Pinterest and find examples of the picture. You can try the artist's page, like if they have a website, you can try theirs to see if they've got their pictures completed. Sometimes that's fun to see. for a little inspiration. Um, there is a disclaimer with this tip. If this tip is going to disrail you from your releasing yourself of expectations, unreasonable expectations, or, put you into that trap of mine will never be that good, mine won't be good enough, then skip this tip. If you're somebody who, and I will get to that point. I've had pages where I will go search on Instagram and I'm scrolling through and I get some good inspiration, but if I keep going, sometimes I start to feel that, little nagging voice in my head going, wow, look at that one. That's amazing. Yours isn't going to be like that. The second I start to hear that voice in my head is when I click off of Instagram, because that's when it's not being helpful anymore. And I need to just step away and refocus on doing the best I can do with the skill I'm at right now. But those resources are out there and they can be very inspirational, very useful. You just have to watch out and make sure that it doesn't throw you off in your mindset. Okay, and then we are on number 6. Number 6 is similar to number 5, but if you're stuck on a certain element of the page, like if I was, well, this is a true example. So I have this page and I feel like a lot of it I can handle, but the water I am not as skilled at creating. I can pick out the blues I need, but as for adding highlights and maybe white accents here and there, things that make the water look really good, I am not as skilled at. So I would go to YouTube or Instagram and just search how to color water, or just search through pictures on Instagram, but only really focus on how they colored the water in the picture, and just try to learn from what other people, either from the tutorials or from what other people have done. The nice thing about that is you can see, many different ways that people have handled water. You can kind of decide how you want yours to look, what technique you're going to attempt. And then, go for it. And then you're learning something at the same time. There's lots of great tutorials on YouTube all over for how to color special elements in pages, brick and stone and light and shadows and water, of course, and the sky's the limit in what is out there to learn from. So that can definitely be helpful if I really wanted to color this page, but the water was throwing me off and I was like, I don't know how to do the water. I'm going to mess it up. I'll mess up the whole page if I don't get that part right. If that's what's holding me back, then there's resources out there to help me get past that. Speed bump in doing the page. And that brings us to number 7. And my number 7 tip on how to tackle the hard pages is just have fun. This is supposed to be fun. And I know, you want to have all these pages colored and dive into these harder things, but if you're getting into it and it is not fun for you, just set it aside, walk away from it. It's very likely that once you've kind of started to tackle it, it'll be in your mind, and you might have a day where all of a sudden inspiration hits and you're like, oh, I know how I want to color those flowers in that picture. or, ooh, I know the perfect background for that picture. And when that happens, then you're, sort of re-inspired, re-motivated to get into it. And, maybe that's enough of a jumping off point that you can dive back in and it'll be fun to do. But it's okay if you've gotten going with it um, and you're into it and all of a sudden it's just too much. It's totally okay to walk away. It's okay to leave it as a whip and wait until maybe you're more prepared to come back to it at a different time. Sometimes we can be super excited to dive in and try something really hard, and then you try it for a little bit, and then you're like, okay, I need something a little easier now. Step away, grab a page with whatever's easier, color by number, some markers, or another artist that you're really comfortable coloring in, and just allow yourself to enjoy what you're doing. You don't want to burn yourself out trying to, force yourself to do something that you're just not feeling at the time. So, yeah, allow yourself to have fun. And if it's not fun, then you step away and you do something else. And you still congratulate yourself for giving it a shot. And you just say, not right now, but maybe in a little bit. And that is just fine. And that is it. That is my 7 things that I tell myself, or how I tackle a harder page. I haven't done so many of them, but it is what has propelled me forward to do hard pages. I am definitely my own worst critic, and I need to, kind of give myself some positive talk before I dive into things that challenge me. And this has really helped me and allowed me to attempt things. And when I finish them, I'm pretty careful not to compare mine to other people's, because I have to just be proud of what I can do. It's okay to, of course, admire other people's, or, maybe aspire to getting to that skill level. But you have to give yourself credit for what you've done. All right. And like I said, I've been coloring all this time and I have a handful of leaves done, but I'm happy with how the leaves have started out. I'm super excited to keep going with this page. Um, so I'm curious to know, do you have any tips that I didn't mention that you find useful in tackling the hard pages that are out there? I'd love to hear. It'd be nice to share with other people in the community too. I'm sure everyone would find that useful. So please comment if you do have anything to add that I didn't talk about. But I am going to go ahead and sign off for now. Um, I don't know if anybody's interested in seeing more of this page being completed. Let me know in the comments and I will maybe do a speed color or just a color in chat as I continue working on this. Because like I said, this is a work in progress and it's going to take me a little while to finish this. I'm not the fastest colorist out there, so. But let me know if you're interested in seeing more of this page being done. And I hope the tips were helpful. I hope you enjoy your coloring and just allow yourself to have fun with it and appreciate everything that you do. Because if you're out there creating something that is worthy of appreciation. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.